Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the Matt Ridge's Coaches Show. We're here from on the campus of Davidson-Davie Community College, Brinkley Gym, for tonight's contest. Coach, this is our final show of the year. The 2022-2023 season is behind us now, and we've got a really good show lined up for you tonight. We're going to break down games from the recent national tourney up in Danville, Illinois with Coach Ridge. We'll also talk to Jaheim Taylor. And we've got a special guest tonight, Storm Mega Fan. That's what you called him. Caleb Curry is going to be here as tonight's special guest. So I want to remind you folks that you can ask Coach Ridge or any one of our guests a question via the Facebook link. So we'll be following that. So let's jump right into it, Coach. Welcome.
I'm excited about the show, man. We had a heck of a run with such a great group of guys. You know, Jaheim's been here for 2 years, and he's a prime example of a young man that worked while he waited with a great attitude as a freshman, played limited minutes, and this year was one of the best players, not just in Region 10, but in the whole country. And then, of course, Caleb Curry's been an incredible friend and fan for many, many years, helped us win a lot of games. His energy's contagious. Love him to death and his whole family. So excited about the show, Miles. Thank you.
Well, I want to congratulate you guys, number one, on a phenomenal season. So, 35-1 record, I think, 35 wins is a record for the program in a season. You had a perfect record in the regular season. You were the Region 10 champs for the fourth year in a row. You won the district tournament fourth year in a row, fourth year that you qualified for the national tourney in a row. And you finished fifth out of 16 teams up in Danville. Not the way we all wanted it to happen, but you got to be really, really proud of this team. Talk a little bit about that in this season, if you would.
Junior college is so unique than any other level of college basketball because the turnover is so high. And last year we lost a lot of talent, but more important, or just as important, maybe not more important, but just as important is so much experience walked out the door with Javion, LJ, Zai, Tim, Bryce, et cetera, et cetera. So I was concerned coming back, even though we had talent coming back with Chase and Jaheim. And, Jarvis played the most minutes he started, but we didn't have a ton of in-game experience. But I was so impressed early on with Jaheim and Chase and Jarvis and Aaron Ross. Those guys came in and didn't miss a beat, and they continued to get better, not just last year during the season, but the off season. It was an amazing run. 35-1 set all kinds of records. But really, the relationships that we've established, player to player, coach to player, player to community. I mean, it's not a 2-year commitment at Davidson-Davie. It's a lifelong commitment, and I'm so proud of them. The majority of our sophomores are getting heavily recruited right now. I'm working hard with all of them to get them to a destination. They'll be happy. But I'm excited about seeing what these guys do beyond Davidson-Davie, not just in terms of basketball, but in life, because they're better people than players.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, highlight some of the games from the national tourney, if you would. First round, you see in the selection show that Florida Gateway is your opponent. They come in as a 16 seed, and to get there, they had to beat Pitt, a team that we all are very familiar with here at DDCC. We faced them 3 times this season, and they were close games.
All 3 of them.
Florida Gateway beat them pretty decisively, 101-77. Yep. Did you watch that game, and what were the keys for Florida Gateway to actually beat Pitt that bad and to advance to the national tourney?
Well, as I sat there and scouted the game, I watched every possession, actually more than once, and they turned them over. They turned Pitt over quite a bit. I don't remember exactly how many turnovers, and they did it multiple ways. And so I was really glad I watched that because it helped me prepare. I watched probably 5 or 6 of their games as soon as the pairings came out in the seating, selection show there. But I think Florida Gateway playing at home helped. They shot the ball at a high clip against them. And then I think Pitt, once they got down big, they weren't the same Pitt that we saw in terms of their mentality towards the game. But Pitt, they got beat pretty good. And I thought after the selection show, we had our hands full, and we did. We were down at halftime, and we had some individuals not play up to their standard or our standard. And then Jaheim was unbelievable the second half. I really got in them there at halftime, and some of the players said there was no paint left on the walls. But at the same time, I was so proud of how they came out of the locker room. I think Jaheim had 18 points in the second half. Chase finished with 18 and 9, I believe. So we were able to get some easy buckets off of doing what we do on the other end, which we did not get hardly any in the first half. We were kind of back on our heels. I think for whatever reason, the kids weren't loose mentally. So I did a poor job of prepping them, even though I thought I had prepped them well in terms of playing loose so you don't get tight mentally. But second half, they just went out and played and stopped overthinking it.
34-25, you guys trailed at the break, and I think you shot maybe 25% from the field. It was a pretty ugly first half. Yeah. Florida Gateway was a fairly large team, a big team, quick team.
Yep.
Did their size have anything to do or anything else that they did defensively for your shot selection in that first half?
I think our shot selection is on us,
yeah.
And that's something we talked a lot about at halftime. But just as important was our defense. We were not getting deflections and flying around. We were kind of back on our heels. We weren't getting stops. And when you don't get stops and deflections, you don't get as many fast breaks. And when you get fast breaks, your shot selection improves dramatically when you're getting layups. So I think there was two things there. Number one, defensively, we got after it better, got some easy buckets in transition. And two, our kids played more loose mentally in the half court and shot the ball with more confidence. Jaheim came out, being who he is. I thought he played really, really well on both sides of the ball second half. And when he's out there having fun, he's at his best. And that's certainly what he did the second half. So hats off to Jaheim and Chase especially.
Yeah, you guys outscored the Timberwolves 58-43 in that second half, and you won 83-77. Facing a quick turnaround, you got a 6 p.m. game the next day against Macomb. How'd you guys start preparing for that next day matchup?
Well, I went straight back to the hotel. I don't think I went out to eat with the kids. I went straight to Synergy. I already had 2 or 3 maybe games edited in our software where we watch all of our future opponents, and I created, I think, 2 more edits. I think we watched maybe 1 or 2 that night and then a couple more the next morning. And we just did what we do. We didn't change what we do. Our preparation stays the same no matter who we're playing, how we're playing, what time we're playing. We have the same approach because at the end of the day, the most important game is the next one. And so even though we only had a short turnaround, we still tried to prep a lot before we even got on the plane. All 5 teams were scouted. My staff and I had watched every opponent, created scout reports for everyone. But now the morning before our game in the first round against Florida Gateway, I did go there early. I watched the game live. I updated my scout report based on that game that they beat Chesapeake. And so that evening after we beat Florida Gateway, I kind of had some tweaks to our scout report. And then I created a couple more edits, which we watched that night and the next morning. And then I felt really good going into the game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you had a chance to see that Macomb victory, 72-59 over the Skipjacks of Chesapeake College. So you were able to do that and tweak your scouting report some. What were some of the things as you watched Macomb that you thought as you put that scouting report together and your game plan together?
Well, they don't have a lot of secrets. I mean, they just play tough, half-court, hard-nosed, man-to-man, kind of like us. They start 6'8", 6'8", and 6'6", I believe, and those kids get after it. And they're long and they're athletic, and I do think that bothered us. They held us to a not just season low, but a career low for our program. 63 points, I believe it was. But we held them to 66, so we were pretty good defensively as well. But, hats off to Macomb. They're really well coached. They play incredibly hard. The last 10 minutes, I did a really poor job of getting us, the ball in the right spots. We were not very good or efficient offensively. Those last 10 minutes, we were up 10 with 10 to play and just did not close it out like we normally have the rest of the year.
Yeah, that Macomb team, they brought the number 1 scoring defense and the number 1 field goal defense into that tourney, so they were tough. Yeah. You guys, like you said, you led for most of the game, at least the first 30 minutes. You had, I think, a 10-point lead-ish with 10 minutes or so left to go in the contest. But, you look at the numbers from the box score, and Macomb won the battle on the glass.
Yeah.
37-30, 18 offensive boards, which that hurts.
You think about that stat. They had 18 boards, we had 9. That's 9 extra possessions. We're saying, okay, you got the ball, 9 more opportunities to score. And then turnovers, we had 21, they had 10.
Yeah.
So that's 11 more shots they're creating. They're off turnovers compared to us, plus the 9 boards more than we had. 11 plus 9, I'm not very good at math, but dang it, that's 20 more possessions. So if you give your opponent 20 more possessions, opportunity to score than you, against a nationally ranked team, and you only lose by 3, you're doing some things well. But unfortunately, it's still a loss, no matter if it's 1 or 30. So at the end of the day, there's 2 stats there that jump off the page. 9 more offensive rebounds for Macomb, and we had 11 more turnovers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think those are key. Macomb would go on to beat Danville Area Community College, the home team, if you will, there, 69-67 in a close game.
Yeah.
That was in overtime, actually, I think, on Friday.
I watched every minute of it. 2 really well-coached teams. The gym was standing room only. Danville Area being the home team there, had everybody in the town there.
Yeah.
It was a neat environment. When I saw the brackets, I was really hopeful we would advance to that Final Four game so our kids could play in that environment, because I knew it would be standing room only, and it was. And, of course, Macomb won there at the end and went on and lost in the national championship. But going back to the game with Macomb and us, I really did a poor job of getting our kids to play with more poise. We had some really careless turnovers that I really wish I could go back and coach our kids up better. And then, of course, on the O boards, we just didn't block out and rebound like we normally do. So I did a poor job of emphasizing those things.
Well, so now you're out of the national title picture. Second round loss. You still have games to be played, right?
Yeah.
You got a round 3 game on Friday against Waubonsee, and they made it into the tournament by beating last year's national champion South Suburban.
Right.
How tough was it to motivate these guys for the game coming off that loss to Macomb?
Well, fortunately, Miles, I have a great group of high character, kids with high integrity. At the end of the day, as much as we talked about it, emphasized that you still got a chance to finish 5th in the country. You got 2 more games to play. You'll never forget how you finish. Ultimately, it's those 18, 19, 20-year-old young minds that have to decide they want to come play. And there's so many teams every year that fly to Danville or drive to Danville. They lose the first game or maybe the second round, and they tank, just like you're talking about. Yep. So obviously that night our kids were extremely disappointed that it wasn't a dry in the locker room after we lost to Macomb. But hats off to our kids once again, their character, their integrity. They came out, they were ready to play. We got after them defensively. And even though we shot the ball really poorly in the next round, in that 3rd round, we still found a way to win. I think we were 3 of 30, something crazy like that from 3. But we held them to 50-some points, I believe. And Faust was incredible, who's here tonight. He had 13 rebounds in that game. I think Jaheim had 18 or so, and Chase played well with 15, I believe. So, we scored enough to win the game, but again, we hang our hats on the defensive end. We got just enough stops to get out of there.
66-54 was the win. Yeah. You guys out-rebounded them 58-43. You mentioned the 13 rebounds by Jonathan. Only committed 10 turnovers in that ball game. It was a good game defensively, and you were able to win that one to go on to play again. Jaheim, you mentioned Jaheim, Chase, and Jonathan, all 3 had really good games. And you mentioned how the team responded. Those leaders in particular, you got to be pretty proud of the way they came back out.
They've led us all year. Faust, I was so proud of his energy early in the game that set the tone. Energy's contagious. He came out there playing like a madman, like it was the national championship game, and I think that became contagious with the whole team. So hats off to Jonathan Faust. He's one of the most high-character young men in our program, so it didn't surprise me, but just really, really proud of his effort and energy and his mental approach to that 3rd round game after a huge disappointing loss.
So the next day you play Henry Ford. They were the 3rd seed, and this is for 5th place. To me, I think this was maybe one of the best games of the tournament, actually. It was a double overtime game that you guys won 110-102. What were the keys for you in this win?
Well, going into the game, I'll be honest with you, there was a lot of talk and chatter that Davidson-Davie and Henry Ford was projected to make it to the finals and play Saturday, not just on Saturday afternoon, but hopefully Saturday night. So we did play each other on Saturday, just wasn't the right time. But they're so talented. They got 3 or 4 kids that signed Division I scholarships. They got a 6'4" guard that signed with Oakland. I mean, they can really, really score it. I mean, you can play great D on some of them cats, and they're still making shots. So going into the game, we emphasized, hey, we're going to have to take great shots. Shot selection was going to be big in this game because even when you're playing great D, we didn't say this to the kids, but I knew that they were going to make some shots just because they're talented. Great offense will beat great defense all day long. So, I was really proud that we played loose mentally. We made a bunch of shots. I mean, obviously, we didn't get as many stops as we normally get. The final score was 110 to 102. It was a 50-minute game with double overtime. But, again, I think Chase had an incredible game. He had 2 incredible dunks. One on a little set we run where he goes baseline and a putback dunk. Trey off the bench, I think, had 21 points or so. Aaron had some huge shots in OT. Faust, I think, had 15 and 8. Ja had 12, 7, and 6, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. So, again, really proud that we beat a team with some Division I talent. And it just goes to show you, in this tournament, just like the NCAA tournament, so much parity. I mean, in the Final Four in our tournament, the 1, 2, and 3 seeds were out of it. Davidson-Davie was out, and the 2 seed was out. I think it was Niagara. And then, of course, the 3 seed, Henry Ford, was all in the consolation bracket.
Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee Area Tech won the national championship. They weren't a top seed, right?
7 seed, I
They
believe.
were 7 seed,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
And I think 3 out of the top 4 seeds, like you were saying, in the tourney didn't make the semifinals, much the same way we saw in the NCAA Division I tourney. The top seeds didn't even make it to the Final Four. So it's tough. I mean, the competition is tough. When you get down, there's 137 teams in D2.
Yeah.
When you get down to 16, the seeds, you throw them out, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Everybody's
Especially this
tough.
year, Miles. I mean, I've been to the national tournament 8 times, and this year there was more parity than I've ever seen. I mean, really, anybody 1 through 16 had a legitimate shot to win it. I mean, Florida Gateway, we only beat them by, 6? Something like that. I mean, obviously Milwaukee Area Tech playing 7 8 seed, it was anybody's game. And if you're playing well at the right time, obviously it helps. And I don't make excuses. I'm the last guy to ever do that. But, when we won our district finals, from the time that game was played to the time we played Florida Gateway, it was a 14-day, or maybe 16-day break there in between games. That's a long time for kids or anybody to go without playing a game. So that momentum, I think, stopped just because of the timing of it. In one sense, it was good to get us some rest and heal up our bumps and bruises. But in another sense, when you're playing well, you want to keep playing.
Well, after the Henry Ford game, and again, kudos to finishing strong like the team did, you start to come to the realization that it's the last time that 10 of these guys are going to put on a Storm uniform and play.
Yeah.
And I know that's a tough thing for you and your coaching staff and for the fans and supporters. But can you talk a little bit about those 10 sophomores and what they've meant to the program and really to you personally?
Well, 6 of them were returners, and 3 of them had been here 3 years. The other 3, 2 years. And then we had 4 transfers in from 4-year schools and other junior colleges. So, they all have their unique situation. 4 of them were here for 1 year. 3 of them were here for 3 years, and the other 3, 2 years. You get attached to kids. I mean, it's hard to let them go, but at the end of the day, that's the level that I'm coaching at, and we know that going into it. That's the one thing that I hate the most about this level is we have to let them go after a year or 2. Every decision that I make out of the season is what's best for each kid individually, but during the season, it's what's best for the team. And I've been working diligently every day to help some of these guys get to that next level. I think 6 or 7 of them already have scholarships on the table. And, it's tough whether it was last year with Javion LJ or this year with Jaheim, Faust, and, Keith Reese and Jarvis and Aaron and on and on and on. It's just tough because I love them. Yeah. And they're like family. And you spend so much time with them, you get attached to them. But you want them to go on and get a free education. You want them to finish their 4-year degree, and you want them to go out and impact their communities when they move back home or wherever it is they land. But I'll be honest with you, some of these cats leaving us this year, like last year, they're going to go on and make a huge impact in the next program they go to. But it wouldn't surprise me to see Jaheim playing professionally in a few years. Faust got so much better, not just in terms of fundamentally with his right hand, but between his ears. He grew up. I think he came here, no offense, as a kid mentally, but he's leaving here as a grown man. And just so proud of their growth, not just physically and fundamentally, but especially mentally. I mean, Faust, I'm so doggone proud of him. He's made so many strides in 2 years to go from not hardly playing to starting, 33 out of 36 games. going from getting in shell when getting coached hard to looking me in the eye this year saying, yes, sir. It's tough to let kids like that go because you get attached to them.
Yeah. Well, I know you're proud of them, and we're proud of them, proud of you guys. And I mean, what you just said, the way you just said, it couldn't have said it any better. And that's what makes this program so special, Coach. So, kudos to you guys on a great, great season. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to bring up our special guest.
The mega fan.
The mega fan, Caleb Curry, going to come up and chat with us for a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I haven't read the questions that you're going to ask, but make sure you ask him about getting kicked out of games, okay?
Oh, I'll have to write that down. We'll have to get that. That may be a favorite memory, Coach. Caleb, welcome.
Oh my God, what's up?
Good to have you on the show. You are a mega fan, a Storm mega fan, as Coach calls you. You're also, a great supporter of the team and athletics here. A small business owner in the community, and I want to give you a real quick chance to talk a little bit about your business. What do you do? You're a small business owner. What do you do?
I just got a used car lot. Been in the business for 21 years, so.
All right, so let's talk about Storm basketball. How'd you get started following this program?
My brother-in-law, really, Manuel, that keeps the stats. Me and him's always been big basketball guys and watched a lot of local high school stuff. And he ended up, whenever we got the team out here, he was like, man, we need to go check them out. So we came, and it was good basketball, and we're still here.
So you've been here since day one, really?
I think after maybe the first or second year we started coming, so.
Do you get a chance to go to many away games?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we go to a bunch, so as many as possible. So.
Now, did you go to the tourney up in Danville?
We did. We've been 4 times. We went to New York when we were in D3 one time, and then we've been to Danville all 3 times. So.
Talk a little bit about that experience and the caliber of talent you see up there compared to what we see in the regular season, as an example.
Well, I do think we play in one of the best. Region 10 is tough. This year it was really tough, but we had a lot of close games. But up there, like Matt said, there was 16 teams that could have won it. Normally you get up there and there is 2 or 3 teams that's better than others, but this year I think we decided we watched 21 of the games, so you wanted to watch them all. Yeah. So I took my little man with me, and I told him that's what we were going to be doing, and I mean he was into all of them, so he really enjoyed it. So
maybe one day he'll be suited up in a Storm uniform. You think?
We'll see. I don't know.
Well, you just heard Coach talk a little bit about the 10 sophomores that have played for him. Tell us your thoughts on this team since you've watched them all season long. What do you think about these guys?
They're tough. And like he said, that after going and losing, everybody kind of loses focus. And I was real proud of them, how they came back, won the next 2 games. And they're good. So I'm going to miss them.
Any favorite memory from this year from the team? Any favorite game or player maybe? I know the guys are sitting there. You don't want to.
I mean, it's fun to watch them all. I know my little man. He loved watching Chase. He liked watching Chase dunk. So I know he was always telling them, "Hey, man, dunk one for me to all of them." So, but I enjoy watching them. I liked how they all meshed real well. I've talked to Matt a lot about how good they played together as a team. I think we've had, I'm not going to say we've had better teams, but we've had more singled out stars. But this year it was, Jaheim didn't care if he scored 2 or 20. As long as they won, it didn't matter. So that's what I really liked about them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I enjoy that about this group of guys too. I think you're right. So 16 years ago, Coach put this program together, and they've had a ton of success. I think 82% of their games they've won, and in this gym, It's like 93% of the games. I mean, they very rarely. I've never seen them lose here in this gym. What makes Brinkley such a special place to play?
I guess it just gives you that feel like going to Duke. I know it's hard to compare the two, but, you know, everybody's right on the floor. It's always loud. You know, we go to a lot of these schools, and, you know, sometimes we get there and there ain't 10 fans there. You know, I know this place don't hold a lot, but it's normally standing room only. So, which I think is pretty cool.
I had a chance this year to go and travel to see the Sandhills game. And I told Coach, I said the Storm fans were louder than the Sandhill fans. Of course, we had more to cheer about in that game. But yeah, I mean, you guys travel well. So, so Coach speaks pretty highly of your passion for basketball, and it's obvious. The energy that you bring to the Brinkley Gym and the away games that you attend. He also says that you're very much invested to the point you attend open gyms, even going on recruiting with him. What have you learned about Storm basketball, Caleb, and about Coach Ridge from being behind the scenes, if you will, with Coach Ridge over the years?
He puts forth a ton of effort and time, over and beyond. You know, he invests in these guys. He not only wants them to do good on the court, but off the court as well. And he does, man. He puts in a lot of time, and he always says, you know, he's thankful for his wife, and, you know, that's something big.
No one will ever outwork him.
Nah, that's for sure.
So what's your relationship with Coach Ridge now, and how would you describe his coaching style?
He's tough. You know, I come to these open gyms, and, you know, I couldn't run the 6-minute mile, so I'd never play for him. So, you know, but he's tough, but he does it for a reason. You know, there's a reason they've been to Danville 4 years in a row. So
I noticed when Jaheim walked in, he's got a JUCO product jacket on. What, Caleb, would you say are the advantages of playing junior college ball, and really specifically here at DDCC for any student athlete looking to further develop their basketball skills?
I mean, it's definitely good. Like he said, I mean, I don't know how many offers. I think all the sophomores have offers, if I'm not mistaken, this year. You know, and when they win, just like going out there to Danville, you know, the first 2 days especially, the stands is about nothing but, you know, scouts. So, you know, that's huge.
What do you think makes this program so successful? If you could name a couple of things.
Just hard work.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, consistency, and that's, you know, I don't know.
Well, this year we've made some nice enhancements in Brinkley Gym. We've got Brian Hughes and his family coming in. We've got the new scores table. We've got the really nice digital scoreboard they put in. From your seat, how is that experience, and how does the game atmosphere at Brinkley compare to maybe some of the other places that we've been?
Oh, that's awesome for sure. It definitely gets everybody hyped up. What kills me is the opponents are always watching it.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to huddle, the coach is trying to huddle them, and they're constantly staring up at the screen, pointing, and it's pretty awesome. So,
What makes it so special for me, I don't know if you feel this way or not, but with the record that they've got here at Brinkley, I think 241 and 19 all time. Everybody that comes in here, I mean, the Storm athletes have a big target on their chest.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Everybody wants to come in here and get a W, but it's tough. I mean, it's almost impossible to do. I think that's what makes it so special. I think that's pretty fun to watch. Any words that you got for the member of this year's Storm basketball team as they leave?
just stay focused. You know, you can do anything you put your mind to, for sure. So
you get a chance to follow some of the other guys that have left and are still playing.
we do. We've been to, you know, a lot of the older ones, Justin Glover and Kamani, that came back and helped coach several years ago. We watched them a lot at Winston-Salem State. We went and watched Javion several times this year. Didn't make it to see LJ, but we definitely plan on next year. So,
anything you want to share with us? Coach asked me to ask you about getting kicked out of a ball game. You want to share that with us? Was that true, or is that something he just made up?
it is true, but
Twice. It happened twice.
it happened twice. One time was deserved, one wasn't.
Okay.
So,
All right. You don't want to share any details with us?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. Well, Caleb, I can't tell you how much we appreciate your support. And I know these guys. Oh, Jaheim's got his hand raised over there. I think he had a question for you.
No.
You guys, you're part of the one of the pieces of the success and the thing that makes this program so successful. You and all the Storm fans and supporters really make this place fun. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's Caleb Curry. We love it. We're going to do Jaheim, or you want to?
It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do next.
Come on, Jaheim. Come up here. We'll welcome Jaheim Taylor to the mic now. I'll talk a little bit while you put that on. Jaheim comes to us from Princeton High School, actually from Charleston, but coming out of Princeton High School in North Carolina. You left a pretty good legacy behind at Princeton High School. I checked up on you and before you signed with DDCC back in 2021. You were all conference. Carolina 1A conference. You scored a career-high 24.5 points your last season there, averaged 5.9 rebounds a game, 5.2 assists a game, 3.8 steals a game. I mean, just phenomenal numbers. In 3 years with the Bulldogs that you played there, you guys were 60-9, 36-0 in conference play. You guys never lost a conference game. It's almost like playing in Brinkley here, right? Yeah. You won 3 straight conference titles, made 3 trips to the NCHSAA playoffs. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on. But with those big numbers coming out of high school, just talk about your decision a few years ago to choose to bring your talents here to DDCC. How did that come to be?
Well, first off, in high school, my grades weren't that good. So coming out of high school, the only offers that I had my senior year was all junior colleges in the region. So my choices were pretty slim, but out of the ones that I had, off the research that me and my family did, this was like the best basketball program, and we felt that for me to expand my game, it would be best for me to go to the best program in the region. So that's why we decided to come here.
Well, we're certainly so glad that you did. I want to brag a little bit more on you now, okay? So here at DDCC, in 2 years that you were here, you guys were undefeated in this gym. You were 68-4. I think if my math is right, you guys were 68-4 over the 2 years. You won 2 regular season titles, 2 conference tournaments. You made the national tourney 2 years in a row, finishing runner-up last year. You were 5th this year. Pretty good year for you stat-wise, Jaheim, 14.2 points a game. Tell us a little bit about how these 2 years here have been for you, and was it everything you thought it was going to be?
I wouldn't say it was everything I thought it was going to be, but in a good way. You know, I thought, of course, like my whole life, I've been the go-to guy. So, you know, it was kind of like normal for me to like do that. So coming in last year, you know, I was kind of expecting for it to be that way, but I knew like it wasn't going to come easy. But I mean, there was some games last year that I barely played, and there was some games last year that I was the go-to guy. But, you know, it was definitely a learning experience for me to be able to know, like, to be around a bunch of great players, to know that, you know, sometimes it might not be your game, so let somebody else go out there and shine. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I feel like last year was definitely a great learning experience for me. And then that coming into this year, I just knew I wanted to be that go-to guy every game, so I had to work my behind off. So the off season, I was grinding like 2-a-days just about every day. So I was putting in the work for sure. But, I mean, even some games this year I wasn't the go-to guy, but I was still able to get somebody else involved like Chase, Aaron, or John. But that's it.
How has your relationship kind of grown, not with just Coach Ridge, but with Coach Allen, you know, over the and Coach Tripp over the course of the time that you've been here?
It's definitely grown a lot.
Tough to play for?
Sometimes, yeah. But once you get to figuring out like how he thinks, then it becomes a lot easier. But the first year was definitely rough trying to figure him out.
I think you told me once before earlier this season that you liked the big stage, you liked the big games. You've been part of two teams now that's made national championship runs. You got a long way there last year, and you finished a little bit short this year, fifth. Talk a little bit about those experiences in Danville, playing on that stage. What did you learn? How was that?
I definitely learned that I can compete with a lot of great players. I mean, I kind of figured that because I've grown up playing against like adults basically my whole life, my uncles, my cousins, my dad. So I feel like going into that stage, I had to make a mark. Although I didn't make it how I wanted to, I still feel like I left a pretty big mark, and it was a very nice experience to compete against guys that's going Division I, going high Division II, that really helped me understand that I could really play at that level.
What parts of your game do you think have improved since you've been here at Davidson-Davie?
Definitely my defense. You can ask Coach Ridge, he'll tell you. Last year my defense was terrible. But, I mean, last year my defense was terrible, but he'll tell you I will always give 100%. Although I would mess up a lot, I was still trying my hardest. But I feel like in the off season, I worked on guarding like pro players and stuff like that, and so that really helped evolve my defense coming into this year.
Playing good defense, strong defense will get you minutes here, won't it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What are you going to miss about this team, about the program?
Definitely gonna miss the fans for sure. You know, all the fans here can tell you every time I score, I'm looking at somebody. I'm looking at somebody, I'm saying something. I like bringing energy to the game. So I feel like that I'm really going to miss that a lot.
I was going to say, we love the energy that you do bring to the game. That's one thing about your game I absolutely love, full speed, and you bring the energy. So what's the next steps for you, Jaheim? What are you doing next year?
Still trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Right now, I still have to go on a couple more visits to figure out where I'm going.
But you've got several offers, though.
Yeah, I have 9 D2 offers.
Nine D2 offers. Fantastic. Yes. Well, good luck to you, and we're so proud of you. We're so proud of this team. I can't tell you how much you guys mean to the fans and to this college. You guys can hold your heads up high. You've done very, very well here. So we appreciate all that you bring to the table. And just remember this, when you leave here, I mean, you've seen players come back this year and from last year's team and from past years. When you leave here, this is something for you and for all the team. When you leave here, you're still part of this, right? This is still a family. You always have, we always have your back. You can lean on it, people here for support as you move through the rest of your playing days, the rest of your life. So, carry that with you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. That's Jaheim Taylor. We love Jaheim. Number 12. We will miss you next year. Good luck to you. 9 offers, man. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's getting close to Javion and some of those guys. It's had like 11 and 12 offers. He might get 2 or 3, might break Javion's record.
Well, we talked a little bit about with Caleb. We talked about the fan experience here, and we continue just to add to that experience. And we talked about the digital scoreboard and the scores table that we've got. All of that couldn't be possible if we didn't, have people that supported this program, supported athletics here. You want to just take a minute to recognize some of our top sponsors?
Well, as you know, Jerry Hunt, Super Center down the road, Todd there has been a huge help to what we're trying to accomplish here with the needs of the program. Athletic scholarships, digital scoreboard, digital scores table, and on and on and on. And then you got Strickland Brothers, of course. And then this year, the Hill Group, Josh Hill, another one of my former players from East Davidson, jumped on board, all at the top level. But you've got so many other people like yourself and Aaron Maccabee, and I could keep going on and on. Brian Hughes, Caleb Curry, Kevin Garner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Emmanuel Teague. So it's not just the big heavy hitters, but it's also individuals that's also given in sometimes four figures to us. I mean, so many people in this community have thrown their complete love, energy, time, money into the program to make us who we are. And like you was telling Jaheim, he's family. He will be the rest of his life. It's not a 2-year commitment. It's not a 3-year commitment. It's a life commitment, and I mean that with my whole body and soul. I'll do anything I can to help them the rest of their life. Chase walked in a little bit ago. His growth, not just in terms of basketball, but mentally, his swagger, his confidence has grown so much. I mean, he'll tell you, if we had him up here his freshman year, the first few months, he was thinking about going back home to mama. But sure glad he stayed. Boy, did he become a heck of a player.
He's a beast.
He is an absolute beast, one of the best in the country at our level. And that's the thing, man. Like, it's tough, like I said earlier, to see him walk out the door, but I want what's best for them. I'm going to miss the heck out of them. But I look forward to watching what they do at the next level and beyond. So, Faust, couldn't love him any more than I do in his growth. I've coached him really hard. He's come a long ways between his ears, like I said earlier. And all of our sophomores, I know those are the only 3 here tonight. But, again, going back to what you originally asked, the donors in our community, if there's anyone listening and wants to get involved, please call me, email me, whatever. And I just so appreciate everyone in our community. I mean, we've got some other needs of the program going forward, not just for basketball, but I was just talking to Steve. They're in there practicing right now, the volleyball team. We've got some things in the pipe that we want to do for them. And, of course, right now I'm out on the road driving all over the state trying to find that next Davidson-Davie All-American.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. A couple more questions for you, Coach, before we wrap this one up. I mean, we talked about, your feelings for this team, and then you talked a little bit about your 10 sophomores. That's 10 guys you got to replace next year. I don't know if that's the most that you've ever had to do. That's a lot of shoes to fill, and has that process already started for you? What does that look like during I say off season. There is no off season.
Well, my wife will tell you the only day I take off doing some type of recruiting is Christmas. Yeah. But I've been known to text a recruit on Christmas Day, too, so I guess I shouldn't say that. But, I mean, 10 is the most sophomores we've ever had. We have had years, the year Kamani Hunt and Glover were sophomores. They were the only 2 returners, but we didn't have 10 sophomores leaving. There was a few guys that didn't return for different reasons. So this year, I think we have 3 guys returning that dressed. That would be Zaire Sims, Trey Fields, and Najee Stroman. But we also had a handful of red shirts like Alex Reese, Ethan English, Frank Stockton. I'm missing somebody. Help me out here. Thank you, Jay Curry, with his heel. So, we've got the 7 guys right there returning 4 red shirts. I hope I didn't miss somebody. And then the 3 that dressed. So we've already got 14 committed, those 7 returners and 7 other kids. So I'm going to bring in 20 to 25, and we'll go from there, and we'll dress 15. We'll figure it out between August and November 1st.
Well, we still have another event left that Storm fans and supporters could attend, and that's the DDCC Athletic Banquet. That's coming up, I think, April 20th.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is that still open? Are they still folks able to still get seats for that?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the deadline to buy your ticket is the 13th, which is next week. The event is the 20th. We give, of course, our student athletes and their families first dibs at that. But if there's anyone listening that's interested in coming, I can, send you that link if you're interested in buying a ticket. Obviously, we have limited seating in our facility here, but as long as we don't exceed that number, there's tickets available.
Well, I'm looking over to the wall over behind Jonathan, and there's a Hall of Fame with Justin Strickland, Justin Glover. Those were the two first inductees into the Hall of Fame last year. I'm looking at that on the wall over there. Are we having a Hall of Fame event this year?
We're not. So when we started that, I put a committee together here on campus, and after a lot of discussion, we've decided to do it every third year. And the main reason for that is we only currently have men's basketball, women's volleyball, and golf. So with limited sports, we have certain criteria that you got to meet to become a member of the Hall of Fame here. So if we did it every year, we would more than likely run out of deserving people to put into the Hall of Fame, and we certainly don't want to water that down too much. So right now the plan is to do it every third year, so we will not have that event this year.
Well, I just want to say again, Coach, congratulations on a fantastic season. Again, we're so proud of you guys and all that you have done this year. We're proud of this program. We're proud of Caleb Curry, our special guest. We appreciate you and all the Storm fans and supporters, for Jared Bowman, who helps get us on the air, and Tristan Wells, who's behind the camera today. Yeah, I just can't tell you enough how much we appreciate him, and you, Coach. I mean, your passion and love for the team, for the school, for the sport, is just phenomenal.
So what we have going is special.
Yeah.
And it's because of the people in the community. Of course, our players, number one, my assistant coaches, yourself, Jared Bowman. I could keep going on and on and on. But people like Caleb Curry and Manuel Teague and Aaron Maccabee and Brian Hughes and their families that are completely invested in every single game that we're playing, whether they're here in Brinkley Gym making it the hardest place to play in the country, or we're playing in Danville, Illinois, and they're online screaming at TV. We're just so blessed to have so many passionate fans that love our players and give so much to this program, not just out of their pocket, but with their time and their love. I mean, I get text messages from all these guys. Brian just sent me one the other day after we lost. It meant a lot to me. So I'm just so blessed to be a small part of this, and people like yourself that make this what it is. I think these players will have such fond memories because we truly are making the big time we are. But with that being said, one day my dream is to bring back that natty for this community, this program, this, all these people behind the scenes that pour so much into this. And I feel responsible that we were not able to get that done this year. I feel responsible that we couldn't keep scoring the ball at the clip that we needed to beat Macomb. So maybe one day if I can learn a few more tricks, we can get us over that hump.
Well, I know you will. This is an elite program, Coach, that you've got here. And, again, just proud of you guys. So very, very proud of all that you've accomplished over the history. But this team this year just couldn't be prouder. So thank you for that.
I want to make one more request. Anybody that's listening or even here, spoke to Dr. Hartness about a couple hours ago on the phone, and he is such a leader, not just by all the things he's done in the past, but even leading from home, fighting, battling cancer, his faith in Christ and his love for this school. And it's just remarkable, his faith and the things that he's able to teach me even from home. He's just an amazing person. I miss the heck out of him. And if everybody listening can please pray for him over this special weekend where we celebrate Christ rising, for all of us and all of our sins, I would certainly appreciate that, because Dr. Hartness is a special man, a special leader, and we miss him here at Davidson-Davie.
Yeah, I absolutely second that. So, Storm fans, we appreciate you. We appreciate you tuning in to the coaches' shows, coming to the game, supporting this team. Enjoy the offseason. Good luck on the recruiting trail. And we're excited. We'll check in, I guess, with you guys sometime around October-ish maybe for the 17th season of Storm basketball.
Thank you, Miles.
Go Storm.
Some people think I'm acting words for word. Suffice to say, this is a quaint affair. But no one really knows me like Harvey. And once you've met him, I'm sure you'll agree.